Metrics are just not good enough anymore. Next practice around that is fairly interesting. Number 3 on this hit parade, I should have some background music going, or some heavy rock sort of riff going on, is mindsets. Mindsets in our organizations are actually get in the way of us delivering customer experience in the way that we feel that it should be. So when I say we feel that it should be, the community of people involved in the survey, the people who are actually managing customer experience initiatives, whether they're chief customer officers or whatever, but those mindsets are actually getting in the way. So what was the question we asked, which provoked our response in that way? So the question we ask is your organization fully attuned to customer experience thinking and practice? Right? And thinking and practice, we couldn't fit it on the chart, but you get the idea. And less, this was like 2.7%, so we rounded it up. 3% of the 1,251 sort of agreed that we're fully attuned. So I want to spend some time with those guys, and I want to know how they're doing that. I want to be able to take those things, if they are true, and again, remember, it's an observation, but if they are true and they're a fact, how can we codify that success and then we can all get access to it? Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? There was a mostly disagree, but you could see, more than 3/4 of people were either disagree a lot, or I totally disagree that we're fully attuned to customer experience. So again, let's dig deeper, let's go down and let's pull out the sort of the 3 or 4 things that were actually going on there. So for this, I thought rather than do you the sort of the feedback in terms of observations, there was a couple of key things that came out. One is this way we define customer experience is oftentimes misplaced. All right, so now I'll introduce you to James, if you've not met him before, in a moment or two, the CX rock star, and he tells it as it is. It was like really, could we distill down the sort of 20 quotes we had, and I thought, well, James's video does that, and also it's not just about the way we define customer experience potentially incorrectly. There's also this facet of many of us in large corporates are operating within silos, and silos have their own targets, have their own missions, and have their own objectives. Right? So what is that all about? Well, frequently those objectives and targets that we're setting ourselves may conflict with other people in other silos. So again, James will talk about that. So what I'm going to do here is let's just switch over so I can share the video with you. And then let's get James to do his bit. So this is the one around customer experience.
Your definition of customer experience is wrong. And here's why. Right, there's lots of different definitions of what customer experience is. And if we put them all together, we might end up with something like this. The sum of the interactions, perceptions, and feelings a customer has with your company. Now, you might think, that's a pretty decent definition, James, but you'd be wrong. Most of the definitions you find are going to run along the same theme, okay? The problem is that theme is completely inside out. These definitions take a company view of customer experience, not a customer view of customer experience. Go figure. Let's say that we're an airline and we take this definition of customer experience to be true. When someone takes a flight, we would assume that their experience would look something like this. Buy a ticket, check in, board the plane, fly on the plane, leave the plane, collect baggage. When in real life, we know that our experience as a customer is much more than that. It's more like decide to take a trip, research the flight, buying the ticket, booking the hotel, booking the rental car, packing, traveling to the airport, checking in, security, spending time at the airport, boarding the plane, flying on the plane, leaving the plane, immigration checks, collecting baggage, leaving the airport, traveling to the hotel, checking in at the hotel, and so on and so on. A lot of this stuff is out of the airline's control, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, and it doesn't mean that it isn't part of the customer's experience. We need to understand that a customer's interaction with our company are just a small part of a bigger picture. The sum of the interactions a customer has with our company isn't the customer experience. That is just part of the customer's experience. I believe a more accurate definition is the sum of the interactions, perceptions, and feelings a person has during the achievement of a goal or outcome. I believe that we need to think about customer experience in a different way. It's not just about what a customer experiences with our company. It's about what a customer experiences with any company, any company's products or services while trying to achieve a certain goal or outcome. If you look at customer experience as the sum of the interactions, perceptions and feelings a person has during the achievement of a goal or an outcome, the way that you map, analyze and improve customer experience will drastically change. Realizing that the interactions with your company is just an experience within an experience will completely change how you look at CX forever. It's the difference between looking at CX from the inside out or the outside in. Like it or not, a customer's actual experience doesn't revolve around you, it revolves around them. So what do you think? Am I crazy? Don't shy away from it.
So thanks for that, James, in terms of an interpretation. And I think that's summarized really. It wasn't just in the last 12 months, it actually pre-pandemic as well, where people were relating this idea of customer experience in a very myopic way. Now, one perspective on that is that some of the professional associations in and around customer experience don't help themselves by defining it from that company perspective. So as James was saying there, I think the summary of that, and a lot of the survey respondents were saying the same thing, is that we might not be able to deal with the full customer experience. That may be beyond our remit. It may be way too much. However, what we are doing within our organization should be in the context of understanding that complete customer experience. That also came across through in another facet of this in terms of industrial era methods. And we've already mentioned that some of the metrics are misplaced and cause us to think more like factories than actually delivering really excellent experiences. It also comes through in terms of the overall mindset that underpins the industrial age, which is a very linear, production-oriented way of thinking. It's about efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity. And one of the comments that I would make in terms of what the feedback we were getting was, so many people were saying, we've got really good at doing this thing, but we've got really good at doing dumb stuff. It's not valued by the customer in the same way anymore. Now, is that a problem at the individual level? Perhaps not. It's more a problem about how we organize ourselves, hence this silo constraints, which really sort of strategically large corporates will get the cascade of strategy down. And then that gets changed into each of the respective silos, so finance, sales, operations, customer service, and so on, without connecting the dots back together again, without creating a uniform dashboard. The dashboard might sit at the top level, but at an individual level, we're just not connected. We're doing things which are peculiar to the functions that we're in. And that directly cuts across customer experience. It clashes with the ability to deliver successful customer outcomes every time. Alongside that one, we have this perspective on everything just seems to take too long. So we'll see that in an interview in a moment or two with somebody else. But this whole idea of agility, it's as if we've overlaid our industrial era models. And this was coming through when we asked the complimentary survey question, shows your org chart. So many of those org charts are those pyramidal, hierarchical, functional specialist silos still, onto which we've grafted on the need for omni-channel, the need to do this in terms of experience management, the need to manage expectations, the need to be really get a clear line of sight. And they've become confused, and we're trying to use perhaps a mindset that was not designed for where we are now, the third decade of the 21st century. So again, once more, James puts this very eloquently in terms of what people were talking about with this clash of silo mentality and incorrect mindsets in terms of what we're tasking ourselves to do. So let's just play that video as well.
Is your company like a Rubik's Cube? Right, imagine you got 6 people and a room and a Rubik's Cube, and you give a colour to each person: red, blue, yellow, orange, white, green, and you tell them that they're going to get rewarded if they can get a full and complete side of their colour on the Rubik's Cube. You send each person into the room that's got the Rubik's Cube in, one by one after the other, and they all try and achieve this goal that's been set for them. Oh yeah, and no one's allowed to see what anyone else is doing. What do you think the outcome would be? Well, I'll tell you, absolute bloody chaos. That's what. Each person is going to go in and happily mess up everyone else's work. Well, why? Well, it's in blind pursuit of the target they've been given. They don't care about the overall state of the Rubik's Cube because they're only going to be rewarded if their colour is complete. You might think that's a stupid little story. That would never happen in real life, James.
Stop midstream there.
Is your company like a Rubik's Cube with the exact same 6 people? 1, share the vision. 2, bring people together. 3, change the reward structure. So let the 6 people know that the ultimate aim is to complete the entire Rubik's Cube, not just one side. Break down the barriers. Don't assign different colours to different people. Assign an outcome to everyone and then let them self-organise around it. Let the people know that they will all be rewarded together if they achieve the completed Rubik's Cube. Now look, let's translate this to business. Make sure your workforce knows, understands and embraces your vision. Break down silos. Don't assign departmentally bound tasks. Assign enterprise-wide outcomes and let people self-organise around them. And reward people for the delivery of these outcomes, not just for completing tasks. So, in summary, like it or not, most of us work in a Rubik's Cube-like environment. Good news is that changing this is a choice. It's a little change in mindset that can make a massive difference. If you want to learn more about breaking down silos and using outcome-based...
So thanks for that, James. And again, James, Rockstar CX is one of the BP Group's main partners, and they do a lot of work which sort of picks up on these themes that are coming across in the survey and then puts them together in this sort of easily digestible way that people would not disagree with those sentiments. But at the same time, we seem to be stuck in this straitjacket where our reward systems reinforce these old industrial era ways of thinking about things. They don't provide us with that agility. They don't let us work as teams across organizations to deliver customer experience success. So from those sort of things in mind, that redefining customer experience, that's high on the agenda, as we'll see on the next practice. People will say we have to smash the silos. It's not so much that, it's about having common outcomes, common results. So have results-oriented communication systems, for instance, so we can see and it's transparent and we can all get with that. And to acknowledge that industrial era methods work great for a phenomenal period of time, but they were never designed for this world that we're moving into now, this new hybrid hyper world that we're all involved with. So that's the mindsets getting in the way.